After a wild draft lottery, the Milwaukee Bucks might have just come out as the big winners of the night. Yes, of course, we know the draft lottery went down last night. The Dallas Mavericks, despite only having a 1.8% chance at getting the number one pick, got the number one pick. They trade away Luka Doncic and they get the number one pick. Is the NBA rigged? I don't know. We're not going to get into that right now, but they get the number one pick. The San Antonio Spurs get the number two pick. And the Philadelphia 76ers get the number three pick. None of the worst teams in the league. Charlotte, Utah, Washington get into the top three. Pretty ridiculous, but I think that's worked out for Milwaukee. Yesterday it was reported that for the first time in his career, Giannis is open minded about the idea of possibly playing his basketball elsewhere. Yes, of course, Milwaukee doesn't want to do that. They want to keep Giannis, they want to keep competing at the top level. But with the depleted roster, with Damian Lillard likely out for all of next season, with their lack of assets to improve the roster, it just doesn't seem likely. And Giannis, as much as he loves Milwaukee and as much as Milwaukee loves him, I think they might realize that they've given it their best go and it might be time to part ways. And this could be the perfect summer to do it because Philadelphia are a team who want to win now. San Antonio Spurs already have their cornerstone piece, already traded for De'Aaron Fox. They would love to get a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo on their roster and really start to challenge and compete atop the Western Conference. And of course, there's Dallas, who, I mean, yeah, they want to win. And yeah, of course, the number one pick is nice. And of course, it's a franchise changer in Cooper Flag. Would they maybe trade him for a guy like Giannis? I don't think so. But of course, I will say, if you are the Milwaukee Bucks, you of course pick up the phone, say, we'll give you Giannis for the number one pick and whatever filler we need. Dallas shuts them down and laughs, but you got to try. And then the feelers are out, and then people know that Giannis is fair game. And then it gets to the bigger ones. You go to Philly, and you say, okay, you want to win, you want a legit superstar. We'll give you Giannis Antetokounmpo. We'll take the Paul George disaster off your hand, along with Jared McCain, the number three pick this year, and a future first. See what Philly says. Are they interested? Daryl Morey makes bold moves. Jared McCain, super talented player that I have no doubts he got put into a position where he was like the lead guy or the number two guy. He could do great things. Still a young player, obviously coming off an injury, that's disappointing. But Philly gets a chance to get off Paul George, who's looking like a hella ugly contract. Yeah, Milwaukee has to take on that ugly contract, but they also get a high potential player in Jared McCain and the number three pick this year, and they get to start to rebuild off from 2, 3 steps ahead. That would be a huge plus for them. I'd be interested to see how Philly would handle that call. The Paul George part of it seems nice, but could you get Jared McCain and the number three pick? I'm not so sure. That might be a bit of a mistake from Philly. But then you get to San Antonio Spurs, and that is the gold mine that Milwaukee wants to dig in. That's where they want to find their ultimate trade package for Giannis. Call them up. Call them up aggressive. Milwaukee calls up San Antonio. Now I'm prefacing as this is Milwaukee calling San Antonio about doing this trade, not the other way around. Milwaukee calls up and says, "Okay, give me Stephen Castle, Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson. They're needed for filler. The number two pick and the number 13 pick this year, and one future first. And you've got Giannis Antetokounmpo. Super bold, super aggressive. I don't think the Spurs would say yes to this. I think it's just maybe just a little bit too much. And this is not what the Spurs do. The Spurs are a team that like to build from the draft. The Spurs are a team that are not exactly in a rush to compete, but they with these modern days in the modern CBA, they want to compete while they've got Wemby on his rookie deal. This is a deal that would get it done. And if Milwaukee could pull this off, my word, what a what a starting point for their next run. What a starting point for their next 10 years for them without their own assets. They get the reigning rookie of the year. They get a couple of solid role guys. And they get the number two pick and the number 13 pick this year and what is believed to be a pretty stacked draft class. Yeah, that's a huge, healthy starting point and maybe as good a starting point as they could possibly get moving off from a superstar like Giannis, who's still in his prime. On the flip side, I think the Spurs say no to this, but I think they come back and counter and they say, okay, you're not getting Stephen Castle, but what we will give you is Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, the number two pick this year, number 13 pick this year, and two future firsts. Yes, you don't have that star asset in there. Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, both good young players who have a lot more to give. They'd be a they produce, I think, in Milwaukee, and you get the number two pick this year to maybe be your franchise cornerstone moving forward. I think that's a deal that Milwaukee would strongly consider. I know we look at Rockets as the team with the draft assets and the young players to really build a high quality Giannis package, but I think the Spurs are this team that Milwaukee should be targeting. They're the team that they should want to deal with. They could get draft assets, a number two pick this year, good solid role players, and maybe if San Antonio are desperate, they might even get the reigning rookie of the year plus some great draft assets. And that is absolute gold dust. That is exactly what Milwaukee needs. And that is probably the only way they really want to trade Giannis if they're instantly put into a position to succeed and be on the right path to building up another great roster just without the Greek freak, their superstar. So Milwaukee, I know there's just rumors about Giannis, but maybe, just maybe, pick up that phone. Getting towards, as we get closer to the draft, as we get past the playoffs and we move closer towards the draft, if I'm Milwaukee, I'm making those phone calls and I'm seeing if they can get a deal worthwhile for Giannis Antentokounmpo, and the Spurs are that ultimate target with Philly as the backup and Dallas as the dream.